The world outside has finally gone quiet, but inside the four walls of this room, the silence feels heavier than the noise of the city. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, feeling every ounce of the day's burdens pressing into your mattress. It was a long journey through a world filled with chaos, where every conversation felt like a negotiation and every task felt like a climb up a steep, crumbling mountain. Your muscles ache, but the exhaustion in your soul is far deeper. It is the weariness of a survivor, one who has navigated the storms of a relentless reality, only to find that the harbor of sleep feels just as dangerous as the open sea. The darkness is not a comfort yet. It is a canvas upon which the mind begins to paint its deepest fears. The moment the lamp is clicked off, the shadows seem to crawl out from the corners. These are not just physical shadows. They are the invisible weights of tomorrow. The mind, liberated from the distractions of the day, begins to race with a frantic energy. You think about the bank accounts that never seem to hold enough, the debts that loom like specters, and the words you wish you could take back before they echo into the morning. You worry for the safety of your loved ones, for the health of your body, and for the uncertain future that looms like a thick, impenetrable fog. These anxieties are the terrors of the night, abstract forces of fear that crawl into the mind the moment the lights go out. They whisper of failure, inadequacy, and of the many things you cannot control. You are the listener, but more than that, you are the warrior. There is no other word for it. You have fought through the hours of the day, shielding your heart and providing for those who depend on you. You have carried the shield of responsibility until your arm is numb. But even the strongest warrior reaches a breaking point where the sword becomes too heavy to lift. In this darkness, you realize that your own human strength has reached its absolute limit. You are tired of being the one who holds everything together, tired of being the anchor when the tide is so strong. You need something more than just a pillow and a blanket. You need a strength that is not your own, a peace that does not depend on your success. It begins as a quiet realization, a turning of the heart toward the eternal. This is not a formal ritual. It is a desperate invitation. Divine Guardian, enter this room. These words act as a bridge between your exhaustion and a power that never tires. You call upon the Almighty, the one who watches over the universe without ever needing to sleep. You invite this presence to occupy the space between the walls and to take the weight of the world off your tired shoulders. This is a total surrender, a moment where the soldier finally lays down their weapon and asks the king to take the watch. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. With the invitation sent, the spiritual work begins. In your mind's eye, you see the Divine Guardian moving to the doors and windows, securing every entry point against the encroaching darkness. You petition for a barrier to be built against the spiritual attacks. You ask that the windows be sealed against the terrors of the night, ensuring that no anxiety or nightmare can cross the line into your sanctuary. The room becomes more than just a place of sleep. It becomes a fortress, a sacred ground where the chaos of the outside world is forbidden to enter. You feel the boundaries of your life being reinforced by a hand that cannot be seen but is certainly felt. This is the first barrier of defense, a line drawn in the spiritual sand that says, no further. Then, something shifts. The air in the room changes. It's no longer just the cold, empty silence of a lonely night. There is a warmth, a weightiness that feels like a protective hand resting on your forehead. The shadows that were crawling toward you seem to retreat, pushed back by an unseen light. But even as a sense of safety begins to bloom, there is a sudden, sharp realization. The room is no longer empty, and the silence is no longer passive. The atmosphere is thick with a presence that demands respect. You realize that while you are preparing to rest, a grander movement is occurring. The battle for your night has just begun, and the real defense of your soul is only just getting started as the light begins to contend with the deep. As you lie there, the atmosphere continues to thicken, not with dread, but with an energy that defies explanation. Imagine now a wall of fire, a brilliant white light that begins to encircle your home. This is the spiritual shield, a divine perimeter that guards every threshold, every window frame, and every corner of your dwelling. You feel the heat of this holy flame, a fire that does not burn but purifies, consuming the lingering remnants of the day's stress. Every brick and beam is saturated with this light, creating a sanctuary where no malice can penetrate. This shield extends deep into the ground and high into the sky, wrapping your entire existence in a cocoon of celestial protection. You are no longer just a person in a room. You are a soul within a fortress, guarded by an architect who knows every vulnerability and has reinforced it with eternal strength. But the walls are not the only things that need guarding. Within the silence, the ghosts of today begin to manifest, those nagging memories of mistakes made, words spoken in haste or opportunities missed. These are the spectral accusers that seek to keep you awake with the heavy chain of guilt. In this moment of sacred stillness, you offer a dramatic plea for forgiveness. You release the burden of your imperfections into the hands of the divine guardian. Feel the weight of that self-judgment dissolving. The guilt that once prevented deep rest is systematically dismantled, replaced by a profound sense of grace. The past, with all its stumbles, is washed clean by the same light that guards your doors. You are given permission to be human and to be forgiven. The voices of regret are silenced, replaced by a quiet assurance that tonight your soul is free to rest. As peace settles within your heart, your thoughts naturally drift toward those you love. Distance is no barrier to the divine guardian. You pray for the protection of your family, picturing them in their own rooms or in distant cities. In your mind, you see a spiritual tether, a glowing thread of safety that connects your heart to theirs. You ask that the same wall of fire surrounding your home also encamps around them. Whether they are sleeping soundly or tossing in their own anxieties, you extend this mantle of peace over their lives. You entrust their safety and their dreams to the same protector who watches over you. This tether ensures that the bonds of love are reinforced by divine intervention, creating a network of protection that spans the distance. You are not alone in your vigil, and neither are they. Despite this growing sense of security, a subtle battle rages within. Your logical mind, trained by years of survival, wants to keep its hand on the throttle. It wants to calculate the risks of tomorrow and remain hyper-vigilant. It is the struggle between the mind that wants to worry and the spiritual heart that aches to trust. You feel the tension in your jaw, the sign of a mind that refuses to surrender, but the heart whispers a different truth. It reminds you that worrying is merely the illusion of control. Slowly, you begin to choose trust over logic. You acknowledge the fears but refuse to let them lead. You consciously decide to lean into the unknown, trusting that the protector is already standing in your tomorrow. Now, a shift occurs in the narration. The tone becomes one of authority. You use the power of your intent to command the atmosphere. Any spirit of fear, any lingering nightmare, or any vibration of restlessness is rebuked with a firm command. You speak to the storm within and the storm without, declaring that they have no authority in this space. The forces of anxiety that were circling like vultures are scattered by the sheer weight of this divine authority. A startling revelation dawns upon you. You realize that peace is not the absence of trouble. Instead, peace is the tangible presence of a protector who never sleeps while the world does. The chaos might still exist outside, but it no longer has power over you. The revelation is simple. You can sleep because the divine guardian stands at the helm. The rhythm of the breath begins to change, deepening and slowing as the frantic pace of the day is finally purged from the lungs. Each exhalation carries away a fragment of the remaining tension, a microscopic piece of the armor that the warrior has worn for far too long. The room is no longer just a physical space. It has become a sanctuary of stillness where time seems to bend and stretch. Over the bed, a divine mantle begins to settle, a celestial fabric woven of quietude and ancient strength. It is a weight that does not oppress, but rather anchors the soul, pressing the listener into the mattress with a comforting firmness that says you are safe, you are held, and you are cherished. The muscles in the jaw and the brow, those hidden strongholds of stress, finally surrender their grip, smoothing out as the divine warmth of this mantle radiates through every fiber of being. This is the ultimate climax of surrender, a spiritual turning point where the human will bows to the divine. The listener, who has spent the day navigating treacherous waters and steering through the fog of uncertainty, now steps away from the wheel. The realization washes over them like a cool tide. They are no longer the captain of their own ship for the night. The helm has been handed over to the Almighty, the only one who can navigate the depths of the dark without fear. This release is not an act of weakness, but the highest form of courage, the bravery required to trust completely when the eyes are closed. The heavy burden of responsibility, the need to solve every problem and anticipate every crisis, is lifted. The ship will sail on, guided by a hand that knows the stars and the currents perfectly, allowing the warrior to simply be a passenger in the grace of the night. As the mind begins to drift toward the edges of unconsciousness, the spiritual vision clarifies, revealing the presence of the angelic sentinels. They have taken their positions at the four corners of the bed, standing as silent, luminous giants in the shadows. These are not passive observers. They are active guardians of the subconscious realm. One stands at the head, guarding the gates of thought, another at the foot, anchoring the peace of the body. Two more stand at the sides, their wings overlapping to create a shimmering dome of protection. Under this canopy, the dream world is filtered. The terrors of the night are denied entry, and the whispers of anxiety are muted by the rustling of celestial feathers. The subconscious mind, so often a battlefield, is now a walled garden where only restoration and divine instruction can bloom. You are shielded in your most vulnerable state, watched over by eyes that never blink. The focus now shifts toward the horizon of the morning. This sleep is not merely a pause in the struggle, it is a profound process of renewal. In the silence of this protected rest, the divine guardian is at work, repairing what was broken and replenishing what was spent. The prayer envisions a morning where the listener does not merely wake up, but rises, stronger, clearer, and fully restored. Every cell is being infused with new life, and every weary thought is being replaced by the fresh perspective of the dawn. The promise of the morning is one of total victory over the exhaustion of the past. You will wake with a heart that is light and a spirit that is ready to face the world, not out of necessity, but out of a renewed sense of purpose. The final benediction descends now, a lingering blessing of perfect peace that transcends all human understanding. It is a peace that the world did not give, and which the world cannot take away. It saturates the air, the blankets, and the very soul. The narration begins to fade, merging with the protective silence of the room. The battle is over, the watch is set, the warrior is at rest. There is nothing left to do but drift into the deep, dreamless embrace of a security that is absolute. The darkness is now your friend, a velvet curtain drawn by the hand of love. Sleep now, for the king is awake, and your soul is safe.